There, everyone. How are you? So, have you looked into this Assembly Bill 828, sometimes referred to as AB828? So, let's talk about it. Let's give full credit to the individual that put it out there, and then let's talk about kind of what I think. So, Assembly Bill 828 or AB 828 was proposed by Phil Ting, Ting. He's a Democrat out of San Francisco. And basically, what he is doing is he has proposed this bill because he wants to mandate a 25% reduction in rent across California. He wants to bring about additional protections for tenants. He wants to remove any documentation required for impact of this health event. And pretty much he wants to stick it to landlords because he is acting like all landlords are rich, deep pocket hedge funds, where in reality, most of us are mom and pop shops and certainly don't produce 25% net cash flow on the bottom line. So Phil Ting is misinformed. He is proposing things that will be a huge detriment to the people he is trying to help because landlords will simply lose their property if we had to lose 25% of our rent and all of that. So when I first read this, I think this hit the news wire for me at least Wednesday or Thursday. I lost it. I flipped out. I'm like, what the hell are these it's always California politicians, right? They always think landlords are evil and tenants are always nice. I don't get it. But I had some lawyer or legal friends check it out, right, that follow me or in my personal network. And they basically told me to calm down. They said that unless Phil Ting is going to tackle the U.S. Constitution, that this is just pandering to the base, trying to get his name out there, whatever politicians try to do. There are plenty of protections in the federal mandates, likely state mandates, that would make AB 828 unconstitutional. You cannot interfere with contracts that are legal and already in place. There are protections under the Fifth Amendment that would again make AB 828, as it's currently written, which is an important thing to talk about, unconstitutional. So I see AB 828 not going anywhere, assuming my legal advice and legal connections are correct, which I think they are. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I simply know lawyers who I asked to look at the article. But I think this assembly bill points to a interesting future, because again, okay, this bill gets proposed, it's grabbing at straws, whatever, unconstitutional, doesn't go anywhere. But what's next? I think this is a sign of what's next, right? So this, again, you don't ask about this bill, which thankfully is unconstitutional, will go away. But what else could be down the pike? There are plenty of contract laws and things of that nature. I think it's far more likely what happens in the future is they crank up rent control, right? They add more variables to it because they've already passed it. And again, it was an assembly bill that passed because they brought rent control to the population and it was soundly beaten, but they passed it anyway. So this is something that I think is coming. I also think there could be some thoughts of national rent control, which I will probably talk about in a separate video. So in the end, AB 828 is extremely scary as a landlord. It is extremely scary when you think about breaking existing contracts for no legal reason. Thankfully, we live in the country of America where we have a U.S. Constitution and we have laws and standards that have been placed for since our existence, 1776. So I feel a lot better after talking to my legal friends that this bill is, again, just pandering to the population, trying to rile up people, and won't go anywhere on legal grounds. But I think as landlords, as individuals going through this, we need to ask about what's next. Because if Phil Ting is willing to take on the Constitution, I wonder what he's got up his sleeves, and I wonder what his peers in San Francisco or the Democratic Party have coming. Because, man, the balls it takes to tell landlords to take a 25% rent reduction mandate is unheard of. I mean, 25% rent reduction. You would have no more rental homes, buddy. Everything would be lost. I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, this is just a super blown up version of rent control. Phil, you need to go look at the examples of your city. Rent control doesn't work. Phil, if you got a 25% mandate in rent, everybody would lose their buildings. They would kick their people out and banks would own them, dude. Come on. Rent control doesn't work. You're in San Francisco. Go figure it out. Go look at New York. Rent control doesn't work. Forcing landlords to take a 25% haircut on rent would have the exact opposite effect of what you're hoping for. So in the end, AB828 was extremely scary, had me very concerned because I figured California government would find a way to hurt all of us. But again, my friends who have legal degrees and are lawyers or attorneys have said, hey, unless Phil Ting is willing to take on the Constitution, don't worry about it. It won't go anywhere. So that's what I got for you on this one. Thanks for asking. You asked for 2 days, so I wanted to make sure I put my thoughts out there. Thanks. Bye.